Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. I am so excited about today's video because today we will be rearranging my single eyeshadows in my magnetic palettes. This is the video I have been waiting for so long. As you know, I have depotted some of my palettes earlier this month. Some of my palettes I depotted last year and few of my recent videos have been me swatching all of my singles. However, my palettes are kind of like a mess right now. This is a magnetic palette from Tarte, and over here I do have some depotted face powders like blushes and highlighters. This also comes with a mirror. Then I also have one more face highlighter. This one is from the BH Cosmetics Carly Bible Deluxe Edition palette. So my depotted face stuff doesn't even fit to this palette anymore. So I actually want to take this one for eyeshadows. Then I have a double-sided C palette. I just have my matte neutral eyeshadows on one side and the shimmery neutral eyeshadows on the other side. Then I have this extra large C palette where I do have at the moment my colorful eyeshadows and my silver eyeshadows. And my plan today is to make this palette my magnetic palette for my face stuff. So I will be removing the products that are in here to this palette, and then I'm going to make this one my kind of like go-to magnetic palette. So I will put their basic mattes, for example, because I have finished up already some basic mattes from my Panda palette and I need those when I create an eyeshadow look. Then I will put here some seasonally appropriate shades, so it will be kind of like my go-to magnetic palette for the next couple of months. I think I'm going to switch it up maybe in July, because that's usually the time when I start to be a little bit burned out with pastels and lighter colors, and I'm starting to feel that I want to wear more kind of like rich and warm colors that almost start to remind about fall. So I think that is when I will switch up the colors, and then I will switch up the colors seasonally whenever I feel like I want to make some changes. And then the rest of the eyeshadows that don't fit into this palette, I am just going to store in this palette, and this palette is just going to be like a storage palette. It's not going to be something that I reach for. I decided to start off by just emptying all of these palettes and wiping them clean. So I'm going to do that first. So the palettes are now clean and empty. In this palette there's some glue or something that doesn't come off, but I have wiped all of these palettes, and I thought the easiest thing to do first would be just to fill this palette in. So I will put here all of my face powders. So I only have depotted blushes and highlighters. So this is my magnetic palette for my depotted blushes and highlighters. I'm surprised how full it is, so I cannot really go and purchase, you know, products that would live in this palette. And I will say that in general I do prefer blushes and highlighters that are in compacts. For now this palette is good to go. The only thing I need to do is put a magnet behind this highlighter, but yeah, that's done. Okay, now to the most exciting part of this video, in my opinion at least. We will be selecting the eyeshadows for my go-to magnetic palette for the next couple of months. I think I'm going to start by putting all of the eyeshadows from the BH Cosmetics Carly Bible Deluxe Edition palette to this palette. Some of these eyeshadows I want to pan quite soon, and I will be starting a project in May where I will pan some of these eyeshadows. Not necessarily all of them, but I think overall the color story of the BH Cosmetics Carly Bible Deluxe Edition palette is really spring and summer appropriate. There are a lot of lighter colors and kind of like subtle colorful shades like peaches and plums. I think those shades go perfectly to springtime. And some of the basic shades from my Panda palette, like a light cream shade like this, I have already used up, so I actually want to have a shade like that in this magnetic palette. So I will be putting all of these shades to this palette. Okay, so here are the eyeshadows. The top row is matte, and I want to add one more eyeshadow to that row. I want to add a matte black there, and I do have this one depotted from the Colourpop I Think I Love You palette, so that goes there, and the top row is ready. The second row is shimmery warmer colors, and there's a couple of eyeshadows that I want to add to this row. So they are two eyeshadows from the Balm Voyage 2 eyeshadow palette. So these two, actually one of them is quite close to being matte, but here it goes right now. There's still room for one smaller eyeshadow pan, so I need to pick something from the Colourpop I Think I Love You palette. I think I'm going to pick the rose gold shade from that palette. And the reason I want to select that is that I think rose gold will go beautifully with modern renaissance. The bottom row is all of the plummy shades from BH Cosmetics Carly Bible palette, and then there is the one pink. I think what I'm going to do next is that I will select the bigger eyeshadow pans what come to this palette. So let me just grab them. Okay, so here I have all of my larger eyeshadow pans. This one is a single eyeshadow from Essence. The other round ones are from the Juvia's Place de Douche palette, and then these square ones are from the Jeffree Star Androgyny palette. I cannot fit too many of these into this palette, and I don't even want to pick too many, but a couple of these I know for sure that I want to have in this palette for the next couple of months. This one, first of all, is in the Roulette Pan collab, so I'm trying to get more use out of it. And anyways, it's a really seasonally appropriate shade right now. This time of year I am into pastels. This light pink is also from the Douche palette and it is in my Project 10 uses, so I want that one. I think I want to select this one also to this project. This one is from the Juvia's Place the Douche palette. I was planning on decluttering this, but when I swatched it, I actually liked it and I didn't want to declutter it. However, I want to put the eyeshadow here and try to play with it and see how I actually like it when I use it, because I think shades like this can make me look a little bit sick. And there's no point for me to keep an eyeshadow that I don't like wearing, even if it is a beautiful shade. So I want to actually play with this. I think this shadow goes beautifully during spring and summertime. If I end up not using it, or if I end up using it and disliking it, in that case I think I'm going to just declutter it, but for now it goes there. And one last larger shade I want to pick is this one. This is the shade Dominatrix from the Jeffree Star Androgyny eyeshadow palette. I have used up the shade Cypress Amber from Modern Renaissance, and I think this eyeshadow goes beautifully with the warmer shades in Modern Renaissance if I want to deepen up the outer corner. So that is the last larger pan. Then there is still a little bit room in the palette for other eyeshadows, and I'm not sure what I want to put there. Maybe I will just pull some eyeshadows I think might be seasonally appropriate or something I would like to have in this palette for the next couple of months, and then we continue from there. Okay, these eyeshadows are something I can clearly see myself using during the next couple of months, so they are what we are going to go with. I don't know how I'm able to fit them, but let's try. What I added to the empty space are 3 eyeshadows from Makeup Geek. They are all more colorful ones. The green and the turquoise are something I think could go this season. And then the kind of like berry ones I think are something that will go beautifully with my Panda palette. And then I decided to add here all of the eyeshadows from my BH Cosmetics Foil Ice Cool To Go eyeshadow palette. I would really love to use up the lighter silver, and every time that I use it, I like to use this one in the inner part of my eye and the outer part, this deeper one. So that's why I picked both of them. They are not necessarily something I reach for a lot this time of year, but I can still see myself wearing them, so I picked them. And then the purples are something I can see myself really wearing this time of year. Okay, so I ended up filling this palette behind the scenes. I actually started filming it, but I ran out of battery, so I decided to do it off screen. And anyways, it took a lot of time. I mean, there is still a little bit of space, but because these eyeshadows are different shapes, it was a little bit difficult to fit them how I originally wanted to. For the most part, all of the mattes are now here, and then there are a couple of satin finish eyeshadows here. And then this side I do have all of the really shimmery eyeshadows. That is what this palette now looks like. Anyways, this palette is not something that I will be reaching for. I'm just storing these singles over here that I don't have in the Leopard palette. The only occasion when I will pull an eyeshadow from this palette is if I randomize it in my Project 10 uses. And in that case, I think I will just make room for the eyeshadow in this palette. But other than that, I'm not going to be switching up these eyeshadows in the next couple of months, but I think in the beginning of July probably I will film a video where I will change these colors a little bit, because I know that then I'm most likely not that much into the pastels anymore that I have right now in this palette. But yeah, I am really happy where I am with all of these palettes right now. This is exactly how I wanted them. I wanted this to be my go-to magnetic palette because this one is the most kind of like fancy packaging, and there's a mirror, and it's a smaller palette, so I don't want to be overwhelmed by my magnetic go-to palette. And then this one is now for storage, and then this one is for my face depotted stuff. So I am so happy with the end result. That was everything for today and everything about my singles for a while. Thank you so much for watching this video and other videos that I have done about my singles, like watching all of them depotting. See you in my next video. Bye bye!